In the past few years, I've visited 55 different countries, and part of the reason that I've been able to travel so much is that I have a bunch of hacks that I use to book flights for super cheap. I mean, I've probably paid less for flights this year than you paid for rent this month. And today, I'm spilling the beans on some of the best hacks that I've used to help you travel without breaking the bank. Have you seen spilled beans before? They're not pretty. Kind of like it's not pretty when people assume that there's a certain day of the week that it's cheapest to book flights on. It's a myth that there's one best day to book your flights on, and anyone telling you different is not giving you the whole picture. There are lots of claims out there that you should book on Tuesdays or Thursdays or 181 days before your flight departs, but these are always based on data for a specific period of time, and that's not how travel trends work. Each year, the amounts of people traveling to a specific place or on a specific day will differ. Heck, there might even be a pandemic that totally upends all trends. But even without a pandemic, there will never be a specific day of the week that would be best to book your flights on, or an exact amount of time before your travel dates that will have the best prices. As a result, you have to do a little research to know when could be best to book your flights. There's a free website out there that helps you see this easily, though. It compares current prices to what the flight would normally cost. This website is Google Flights, and it happens to be the best website out there for finding the cheapest flights fast. The basics are straightforward. You just go to Google Flights, type in your search, and bam! It's got tons of useful features to help you narrow down your search, and the 2-month calendar is really easy to look through. But definitely check out my more in-depth video if you want to really get into how to find the best flights on Google Flights. And now that you know where to search for flights, there are a few different ways to approach booking flights that most people don't even think about. First off, it's a good idea to consider using positioning flights to find the best prices. Positioning flights are where you book flights from the city that you want to depart from to a city with much better prices. If you were headed to Japan, for example, the cheapest flights might be departing from Los Angeles. Now let's just say you live somewhere else besides Los Angeles, maybe Phoenix. You can just book the positioning flights to and from Los Angeles, and then book the significantly cheaper flights from LA to Tokyo separately. Boom! Money saved. Figuring out which airports have the best flights to book positioning flights to is pretty easy. There are a few flight search websites out there that can help you with this. And then on many routes, it could be cheaper to book one-way or multi-city flights. Say you want to fly to Europe and see a few cities, a nice old Euro trip. You do not have to fly in and out of the same European city. Instead, you could book a one-way flight to one city, and then book a one-way flight back home from another city. Depending on what's cheaper, you could also book it as a multi-city flight. Once you're in Europe, it's cheap and easy to get around. So you can just travel between those two European cities with cheap flights or public transport. This is really a great way to see more in one trip, too. And it can give you a lot more flexibility when it comes to choosing where to visit. Speaking of flexibility, being flexible with your exact travel dates is another travel hack that can save you tons of money. This can mean a lot of different things, though. Sometimes, just changing your departure by one day can save you thousands. Other times, deciding to travel 1 month after peak season could save you hundreds. It's really important to do some basic research on the best time to visit your chosen destination or destinations. Take most of Europe as an example. July and August are peak travel times, but they're not necessarily the best time to visit. When you decide to travel in September instead, many European destinations will still have great weather and warm swimming water. That's not to mention that they'll be less busy. And while flights for July might cost you $800 round trip, flights for September could cost you like $400 round trip. If you're not that flexible with your travel dates though, setting price alerts is another awesome way to save money on travel. Google Flights has free price alerts. Anytime I need to travel on set dates, I set an alert on Google Flights immediately to monitor the prices. This is especially good when your travel is more than about 3 months away and there's a higher chance of prices still dropping. Imagine getting a notification that your flights just dropped hundreds of dollars in price. That's an easy way to save some money, isn't it? Another travel hack that I just love to use is to book flights with stopovers or long layovers. A stopover here refers to a stop at an airport of longer than 24 hours, while a layover is a stop at an airport of less than 24 hours. This matters because most airlines won't allow you to book a stopover on one ticket, while they will allow you to book a layover. Sometimes it's even cheaper to book a ticket with a long layover. But while most airlines don't offer stopovers on one ticket, there are a handful of airlines that do. So far, I've done this on Icelandair to spend a few days in Reykjavik and on TAP Air Portugal to spend a few days in Lisbon. If the ticket prices are the same, it can be a great way to break up long flights and add an extra city to your trip. But if you've already tried a few different hacks and just can't find the flights that you want for your trip, it may be time to consider low-cost carriers, sometimes referred to as budget airlines. No matter what they're called, these are the airlines that have taken away basically all of the luxuries of flying. I'm talking about airlines like Ryanair, Wizz Air, Frontier, Spirit, or AirAsia. Nobody really wants to fly them as their first choice. But sometimes they have really, really good deals. And a lot of the time, they're the only airline offering non-stop flights on a certain route. So when you have the option to save time and money, it's hard to say no. To just take a random example of what I mean, let's take a look at Wizz Air's route network. No other airline flies nonstop between Budapest and Baku. So if you did want to fly this route nonstop, you'd only have one choice of which airline to book with. But the fares do start below $50. Traditional airlines usually only operate to and from their hub airports. But since low-cost carriers usually are able to offer lots of nonstop flights between airports that aren't their hubs, they offer some interesting flight options. Just keep in mind that low-cost carriers sell unbundled fares, meaning you're buying transport from one airport to another with nothing else included. No free baggage, no seat assignments, no soup. But there is a good hack to make your low-cost carrier experience a little bit better. You can still get lounge access when you're flying on a low-cost carrier. And I've got another video to walk you through how to get lounge access when you're flying on any airline for free. But getting back to flight hacks, Skiplagged is another interesting website that can help you hack your way to insanely low airfare. This website's not just about finding the cheapest flights, it's also about unveiling the secret world of hidden city fares. Imagine this. You buy a ticket from Airport A to Airport C, but you get off at Airport B, leave the airport, and head to your destination. But why would I want to do that, you wonder? Due to airline pricing structures, it can actually be cheaper to book a ticket to another destination with a stop at your destination. Skiplagged has cracked the code on creating a flight search engine to find these hidden city fares. But Skiplagged did get sued by an airline, so keep in mind that this isn't exactly for the lighthearted. I do have another video that investigates hidden city ticketing if you want to check that out, so I left a link in the description. And one other way that I often find out about really cheap airfare is by signing up for my favorite airlines' mailing lists. Airlines run sales from time to time, but if you're not signed up for their email list, you might not know about them. I find that JetBlue and Alaska in particular have really frequent sales that they email out. And I've saved hundreds of dollars on flights I was already going to book simply by knowing to use a discount code that I got in an email. If you found these 10 flight hacks useful and want to learn more, it doesn't have to end here. There are 5 secret travel hacks that airlines do not want you to know about, and in this video I give you the rundown on them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.